Richard Fleischer and Earl Felton met Howard Hughes for the first time in Bungalow 19 of the Beverly Hills Hotel on December 3rd, 1950. The three of them would meet there regularly over the next 2 months, devising a climax for his kind of woman that would satisfy the eccentric studio boss. Hughes was obsessed with the picture, specifically the finale. Essentially, he demanded more. More fighting, more comedy, more suspense, more brutality, more slapstick, more death. As Hughes helped develop the climactic fight scene on the gangsters' yacht, it grew longer and more sprawling. Line producer Robert Fellows, working from Fleischer's notes, had to keep building out the faux yacht that sat above a massive water tank on stage 22 at the RKO lot in Culver City. Eventually, what had started as a simple set, just the ship's bridge, became a full-sized yacht. Meanwhile, the story conferences held during the day in Hughes's hotel bungalow or late at night in his barren office at Goldwyn Studios almost killed Earl Felton. The writer was used to working with a bottomless glass of scotch at hand, but in these marathon skull sessions, which often lasted 7 or 8 hours, the only sustenance Hughes allowed was milk, although he would politely offer Fleischer and Felton half of a sandwich he always brought with him. According to Fleischer, Hughes reveled in their creative process, although he drove everyone nuts with his fanatical attention to minutiae. At one point, Hughes threatened to scrap the entire yacht because a shipboard ladder was on the port side, not on the starboard side, as was proper. Earl Felton diffused the situation by telling Hughes that only another millionaire will notice it, a crack typical of Felton's sardonic wit, which Hughes loved. The boss's biggest thrill in reworking the script was adding to the mix a character of his own creation, the sadistic German doctor and his mind-erasing serum. Hughes was so obsessed with this guy, he wrote all the doctor's lines, then sent Fleischer recordings he'd made of himself delivering the doc's dialogue to ensure that the actor played the part correctly.
In death, the muscles generally tighten. Sometimes the features become grotesque. Under any condition, it's not easy for me to do this job.
Then write the whole idea off.
Production dragged on so long, Vincent Price threw a party on the set to celebrate his 1-year anniversary on the project. Finally, after months of additional shooting, which went wildly over budget, Fleischer showed Hughes a rough cut of the new third act. It was 80 minutes long, the length of the rest of the film. Everyone held their breath during the screening, and Fleischer recalled the sense of triumph and incredible relief when Hughes announced that he loved everything about it, except the actor playing the villain. Hughes ordered the part recast and all those scenes reshot. For the next several weeks, new actors were auditioned and tested until finally, little-known Robert J. Wilkie was cast as the new Nick Ferraro, and every scene in which that character appeared was reshot. And Fleischer was about to wrap up the never-ending production when a guy walked up to him on the RKO lot and said, "How do you do? My name's Raymond Burr. I'll be playing the villain in your picture." Well, Burr, of course, was at this point the most overutilized heavy in the business. Yet somehow Howard Hughes had never seen him in a movie until that week. And he immediately decided that this guy was the perfect Nick Ferraro. So all the footage Fleischer had reshot was scrapped, and reshoots began once more.
I don't like to shoot a corpse. I want to see the expression on his face when he knows it's coming.
Now, through all this craziness, the tall dog remained remarkably patient. After being threatened and tortured by 3 different actors playing Nick Ferraro and being bruised and beaten by a battery of thugs and henchmen, Robert Mitchum finally cracked. On the next to last day of filming, he agreed to give Fleischer one more shot before the start of his 5 o'clock happy hour. A pair of stuntmen simply had to manhandle Mitchum onto the ship's bridge. The tall dog had begun happy hour a little early, however, and suddenly he let off a year's worth of steam, and he and the stuntmen went at it for real. Mitchum went berserk, cursing everyone on the godforsaken production, and within minutes, he'd destroyed the entire set and all the lighting and sound equipment on stage 22. Well, Hughes finally released His Kind of Woman a year later, well after his interest had strayed to other things. The film lost $850,000. According to Dick Fleischer, the exact cost of all the new scenes he'd shot for the picture. Now, I'm only giving you a shred of the strange and hilarious tale of this movie's production. The entire saga comprises a memorable chapter in Richard Fleischer's memoir, Just Tell Me When to Cry. I highly recommend it. This is the 4.5 film directed by Fleischer that we've shown on Noir Alley. Next week will be the debut appearance of another great director, Douglas Sirk. If you haven't seen his terrific thriller Lured, starring George Sanders, Lucille Ball, and a sensational supporting cast, you are in for a treat. Until then, remember to check in with us on the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go iron my money, which unfortunately won't take very long. See you next week.